found what I was looking for indeed, and he's just giving me a very good demonstration of why you should never make assumptions with animals. Remember how I said that it would probably be too hot and that our big male leopard would probably want to be lying in the shade? He was lying in the shade until he heard that water buck. And now he's on the prowl and he's thinking about hunting. And I think we should go and catch up with him and get ourselves into an interesting position with him. He's not particularly hungry, but all predators will take advantage, if they can, of an opportunity. Tommy, you want to know how long I've been a ranger? Tommy, I've been a ranger now, on and off, since I was 19, so 8 years, give or take, which is a fantastic amount of time to spend in the bush. And there he goes, he's walking, he's absolutely massive. Sorry, Tommy, hold on a second. I've been very lucky, Tommy, in that I've grown up visiting game reserves just like this one and seeing amazing creatures just like this leopard. Okay, I mean, I have to go all the way around to catch up with him. I think he's looking for that waterbuck. Now, when he does decide to try and, if he does decide to try and hunt that waterbuck, he will move very, very quickly. Shelley, you want to know how fast leopards are. Shelley, I want you to picture, when you're finished with this live safari, walk 22 big steps with your outside, 22 big steps, and then blink your eyes. Now look from one side of the room that you're in to the other. A leopard could probably get across there in 1 second, in one blink of an eye. They are just that quick. So at their top speed, a leopard can cover 22 meters per second. That is roughly, or just over 60 feet. Okay, so there's the waterbuck over there. He can't see it, so I've got to stop here. He can hear it, but he can't see it anymore. And I don't want to block his view when he does start to creep up on it. So there's the waterbuck, and there's the leopard. Now, Wesley, you want to know what this massive male leopard eats. Wesley, he is a carnivore, so he eats meat and pretty much only meat. And we don't feed the animals here, so it's not like your dogs and cats at home. They have to hunt for themselves, which means they have to go out and catch their own food. And it's very hard to watch for us. I think we're back. And there goes our leopard on his way to water. We're talking about what they eat. They have to hunt for themselves. And I wonder, I think he's going to try and creep and poke his head over the top of this waterhole dam wall. There he's going to disappear. Indeed, there could be anything like a leopard hunting at the hottest time of the day. You just never know with wild animals. They don't read any of the textbooks. They don't necessarily follow every rule. They follow their own rules. And in this case, despite the fact that he's got quite a full belly, this particular leopard is still just trying to see if he can sneak up on those waterbuck. And what he's doing is he's walking from shade patch to shade patch, stopping, watching, looking and listening, trying to figure out which way the antelope are going to go. I can't see them anymore. They have moved off into some very dense vegetation.
The elephant aren't the only beautiful animal out here. We've just swapped places with Jamie quickly. I think she was just having some problems on the vehicle. But we've got this beautiful male leopard now that she found earlier. And he seems to be watching the water closely. Now, he's very clever. Because, as you've seen, we've seen a lot of animals coming down to drink. So maybe he's looking around to see if there's something that he might be able to catch. So that's why he's sitting in the shade. He's got a perfect spot there. He's in the shade, so it's nice and cool. And he's well hidden there, he's well camouflaged. The grass is protecting him on one side, so he can have a look around and hopefully no animals will see him if he is trying to hunt. Now Valerie, you asked how long can a leopard last without food? Now Valerie, it's difficult to say. I suppose if they have water, maybe 2 weeks without something substantial to feed on, but then you'll see they'll start losing condition very, very quickly. Usually leopards will go 2 to 3 days between meals. It all depends though. They are very opportunistic, so if there is food around, they will try and hunt. Doesn't matter if they're hungry or not, because they never know when they're going to get their next meal. So generally, maybe 2 or 3 days between each meal, but then they will try and hunt again for sure. But if they've eaten and they find an impala the next day that is easy to hunt, they will definitely go for it, even if they are quite full. Isn't he magnificent? Oh, he's such a beautiful big male. Now Maggie, a leopard can live up to about 15 or 17 years old. That's how long a leopard can live for. So it all depends, Maggie. It depends how much competition there is around. Is there enough food and water around? That may allow them to live up to about 17 years. The oldest leopard I've ever seen lived to just over 17 years old. It was a female and she got to about 18. But that is very old for a leopard in the wild. Usually, and also males tend to live for less than that of a female. And the reason for that is there's often a lot more competition for males. So males may be about 14 or 15 years old and females a little bit longer. He's on the move. I wonder where he's going to go. We will try stay with him. Okay, let me reposition quickly. Alex, leopards can climb trees very, very well. They are known for climbing trees. Now, the amazing thing which leopards do is if they do manage to hunt something or kill something, they will actually carry it up into the tree. And the reason they do that is to keep it out of reach of other predators like hyena or lions. Let's see where he is. Just having a look around here. The grass is very long, so he might disappear from us for a short while. Let's just have a look. Where did he go? Oh, there he is. There he is. Let's see. He is walking. He's just off to our left. Oh, look at that. Alita, sometimes the animals do come close to the vehicle. We do have to be careful, but fortunately, most of the animals are still very, very cautious of the vehicles. They don't like the cars very much, so they don't come too close. But the other thing, Alita, is, and the main thing, is that we just have to be very respectful of the animals. That's the most important thing. Have to be respectful, have to be careful. We don't want to cause them to be afraid of the vehicles. So if they do come close, it's only because of their choice. Let's see where he's going. Let's see where he's going. Probably just changing position slightly and moving into the shade. Let's see, there he goes. Beautiful light on him now. Alright, Caroline, the leopards are indeed born with their spots. He's just lying down there. We can't really see him now. I'll give him just a few moments, just see if he settles down there, and then I'll try reposition. So Caroline, they are indeed born with their spots. They completely spotty when they are born, but the spots aren't very, very clear. It's actually, they're a little fuzzy because they are so fluffy when they're born. But then as they get older, those spots become much clearer on their skin or on their coat. So you do see it changing as they get a bit older. But the first few months of a leopard's life, those spots aren't as clear, but they are definitely there. And then as they get older, like this big male, those spots become very clear. Give me a second. It looks like he's just laid down. So let me move forward slightly, and I think we'll have a nice view of him. Now, Jan, Carlos and Star, you've asked an interesting question. You want to know if leopards go into the water and if they swim. Now, most people will say no, they don't. They don't like the water, and they generally don't. However, I have seen leopard in water before. If they really have to, if they need to cross a river perhaps, they will swim across. And also, if they are possibly hunting something, if they've chased something into the water or catching something in the water. Leopards, I've seen them try and catch fish in water before. And on one occasion, I just saw a young male leopard go and sit in a little waterhole, possibly to cool off, but it was very strange behavior. It's not something you see often, but it just shows you they will go into water if they have to or if they really want to. But generally speaking, they prefer to stay out of the water. And that's the thing about the bush, is you never know what animals will do. Their behavior changes constantly. There's never a set rule as to how the animals behave. And that's what makes it so fascinating. That's why I love doing this. Because even though I've been doing it for many, many years, I still see things which I've never seen before or I've never read before. The bush is a really incredible place, this African bush. You're always learning something, which is really, really nice. Joanna, if I could be an animal, what would I be? I would choose to be a honey badger or probably an elephant. Now, some of you might be asking what a honey badger is, and I'll show you a picture. It's my favorite animal. And I'll try to find it for you quickly. And there we go. That's a picture of a honey badger. Let me just show you that quickly. That's what that is. Just over there. Look at that cute little creature. So that is a honey badger. And that's my favorite animal. I love them. They're very, very fierce little creatures. They're not afraid of anything. Awesome to see them. But you very seldom see them. They're very rare. So we don't see them often. They mainly come out at night. But if I could be any animal, probably be a honey badger. And then the other one would be an elephant. I love elephants. So either a honey badger or an elephant. Although this leopard looks like he's got a wonderful life, doesn't he? He's lying in the shade. I'm just listening out. I could hear some birds calling in the distance. I don't see anything though. Just listening, but what a wonderful, wonderful drive, or start to the drive. And I'm so glad that all the kids from the schools could join us for this. We've seen so much, from giraffe to elephant to zebra and this beautiful leopard. I hope all of you have enjoyed it. It really has been great having you on safari with us this afternoon on Safari Live. So to all the kids from the schools, thank you, goodbye. We'll join you all soon again. So from Jamie, Brent and myself, goodbye, and we'll chat to you soon. That's right, Jamie. I suppose we wouldn't want to meet this big male leopard in a dark alleyway. And he's still resting and relaxing close to the waterhole. He's got a perfect little spot there. He's forced us to sit in the sun while he has got the shade, the only bit of shade around. But we don't want to get too close to him, so we're not going to disturb him. But fortunately for us, he is lying very relaxed in the shade. There's a bit of a cool breeze coming off of the water, so that's also helping him stay cool, which is wonderful. It really is so peaceful, and we're so fortunate to be able to sit and watch a leopard like this, just basically resting in the shade. We know how long we can track and look for them when we want to. It's not always easy. So when we do see them like this, it's a great opportunity and wonderful experience. There was a waterbuck which was heading in this direction, but I think it realized that this leopard was here and moved away quite quickly, even though I think a waterbuck might be a little bit too large for this leopard, but you never know. And I think Jamie actually showed you how Tingana was watching the waterbuck earlier, but I think that waterbuck knew this leopard was here and moved away. But as I said, it's not easy to, I suppose, for a big leopard, even a big male leopard like this, to hunt waterbuck. They are large, powerful antelope. And I'm just trying to think. I think I've only seen leopard with young waterbuck kills, but not often at all. I've seen a leopard with a big male Inyala kill, which is quite large. I've seen them with kudu kills. So they can hunt larger prey. The more experienced and larger the leopard is, probably the easier it is. So they can definitely hunt larger prey. They are amazingly powerful creatures. James and you say it'll be pretty impressive to see Tingana bringing down a waterbuck. It would indeed. I think it would be quite a struggle, but I think you would be able to do it. Just like I said, I just know these big cats, these leopards are pure muscle. It really is amazing. It's so nice to see him again. I haven't seen him for quite some time, this big male, so it's always great to see a big male leopard. And you can see, even though he's resting, his head is still up, he's still scanning the area, he's still very, very much aware of what is going on around him. Caltech, leopards, I've never seen leopards hunting together. What I have seen though is I've seen leopards where a male or a female could potentially make a kill if they are together, usually when they are mating. Male or the female would possibly make a kill, and then they may both feed on that carcass. Now, it's not often that you see leopards feeding on a carcass together because they're generally solitary. However, I have seen it, but what I've also seen, which is interesting, is one will feed, and then once it moves off, the other one will go and feed. They very seldom feed together. I've only seen it once or twice with leopards feeding at the same time, and that was actually a female with her cubs. Even then, the female will feed first usually, and then allow the cubs to feed, and when they finish, she'll go back and feed, and also not both cubs at the same time. If she's got 2 cubs or 3 cubs, it will only be one at a time. That's generally what I have seen, and I've seen leopards on many, many kills. But it does depend. If the cubs are very young, they might share a kill. But I've never seen leopards hunting together, actively hunting together, or working together to bring down any prey. But, as I've always said, there's no golden rule in the bush. Things can happen that we don't expect or that we've never read about. And trust me, I've seen some leopard behavior that is in no book. anywhere. It's not written anywhere, but I've seen some very strange leopard behavior. Beautiful pattern lying in the grass. Now, Brandon, you asked if Shungile and Hosana would show up now, if Tingana would potentially, or how he would react if they did show up. Well, the first thing is, we all assume that he is the father of those cubs. I think initially there will be a very nervous reaction from the two younger leopards because this is a big male, and he might not react in a way that they would like. He might be a bit aggressive, but he also might recognize their scent very quickly and possibly tolerate them close by. I don't think he will allow them to come really close to him and rub up against him or anything like that. Usually what I've seen with leopard behavior is if a male or any leopards, if they do come across another leopard, there's often snarling and they don't like other leopards around. The only time I've really seen leopards interacting as a male and a female, obviously when the females are looking to mate. But again, it's difficult, Brandon. I don't know, because I've never seen him react or bump into those cubs before. But just because we haven't seen it, it doesn't mean it hasn't happened. There's a very good chance that he's met up with him a number of times in the evening and we just haven't seen it. So it all depends. I like questions like that because I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. And who knows? I've seen a male leopard before where he's been feeding on a carcass, a young male leopard, and a big male who was his father came in, chased him off a little bit, fed, but then allowed the young male back and allowed him to go feed again. So it's very strange behavior, and like I say, I've seen things that aren't written in books. And we're told that leopards are completely solitary, they don't interact, but I guarantee you, they interact with each other more than we see, definitely. But it would be interesting if those two did arrive, what would happen? Now, I'm going to sit with this leopard a little bit longer and see what he gets up to. It sounds like Brent is taking time out to reflect. Well, Jamie, he's still kind of resting really, but he's getting a bit more active. There's some flies bothering him at the moment. His head is up. He's been cleaning himself. So I'm interested to see what he does. Is he going to decide to stand up and move? He keeps watching around, and again, sometimes these predators do hang around the water holes to potentially see if there are animals coming down to drink. So it will be interesting to see what happens or what he decides to do. But all this cleaning activity, you see, he's grooming himself. Now, leopards do that a lot. They'll lick their paws, they'll clean their faces, and all of that is to make sure that they get rid of some of the ticks and the fleas that sit on them. And they've got incredibly rough tongues, so by licking like that, they're able to get rid of a lot of little ticks that sit on them. It's almost like little barbs or burrs on their tongue that they're able to clean themselves very, very well. Now, a leopard and a lion tongue is incredibly rough. And you often hear or see it when they are at a carcass, when they're cleaning a carcass. They'll lick a carcass and sometimes clean off some of the hair or the skin very, very easily, just with a few licks, and especially lions. But leopards will do this type of behavior just like lions do to clean themselves. However, leopards need to do it a lot more because they don't have anybody else to clean them, whereas lions will groom one another and clean one another. In a pride, the leopards being solitary, they've got to do it themselves. Reese all the way from Scotland. Good afternoon to you, Reese. You asked if the big cats need their claws like the domestic cats do. Well, they do. They do indeed go and scrape up against branches and claw at big trees to clean and basically try and stretch those claws at times. They do it indeed. All the big cats do it. Lion, leopard, they'll often go and they'll claw against trees. And if you see where they do it and you go and have a look, or sometimes you walk past trees and you see it, you can see clear claw marks in the trees from leopards or lions. So, Ali, that's an interesting question. So, I think, I don't know how I would answer that. Ali wanted to know how aggressive leopards are compared to lions, or which is more aggressive. Now, Ali, wait, he's getting up. Okay, there we go. No, let's see which way he goes. There's actually a cool breeze now, some cloud cover. And he's heading towards us. That's great. So, Ali, it's very difficult to say which is more aggressive because, and I've tracked leopards and lions many, many times for years on foot. Touch wood, I've never actually been charged by one of them, not yet. I'm sure there will be a point at some stage where one of them will decide to charge me. I've had a growl by a leopard once or twice, and I've been growled at by lions twice, I think. But that's to warn me that they were there, we backed off, and it was fine. I haven't actually been charged by them yet. Now, whether one is more aggressive than the other, I don't know. I think what happens is if the animal feels threatened in any way, they will act aggressively. Well, actually, one of two ways. They will either choose to run away immediately, or they will growl and act aggressively. To be honest, I'd probably choose a charge by a lion before I get charged by a leopard. Just a leopard is so fast and so agile, and I don't know, a leopard actually, I don't want to say scares me more than a lion. How do I say this? But I'm more cautious of a leopard than a lion, if that makes sense. However, I'm not saying I'm not cautious at all when it comes to lions, but I would probably prefer a charge from a lion than a leopard. Whether a leopard's more aggressive than a lion, I don't know. I've just heard, stories of people that have been attacked by leopards, because I've just heard stories how aggressive they can be and how much damage they can cause. But again, it's people being silly, people getting too close, possibly not listening to them. If they're injured, if they've got cubs, both lion and leopard will be aggressive. So, don't know. But if I had to choose, I'll choose the lion before the leopard. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to sit here a little bit longer. Well, Brent, I don't know if I like Chanel number 5 or Clinique, to be honest. Oh, you meant the leopard. Okay, I'm not sure what perfume Tingana likes. I must admit, it's the first I've ever heard of that they spray perfume on the traps. Well, these animals are so sensitive to scent. I wouldn't be surprised if they do decide to go and have a sniff around. I wonder. I think Tingana's more of an Armani kind of guy. He hasn't moved much. He's just gone into some long grass, but it is much cooler now. Cindy, I'm not sure. You asked if leopards would eat cooked meat or if they'd only eat raw meat. Well, I don't know. I don't know of anybody who's ever cooked a steak for a leopard and lived to tell the tale. I wonder. I don't think so. I think they'd only eat raw meat carcasses that they find. I don't think they'd potentially go and look for, I mean, how would they find cooked meat out here other than an animal being caught in a fire and burnt? Then possibly, but yeah, I don't think so. Probably just raw meat, animals that they've killed or carcasses that they've come across. Leopards do scavenge from time to time if they find a carcass. Rebecca, they've tried, I know on a number of occasions, they've tried raising animals in captivity and releasing them again. The one example I can think of that I know was a story many years ago. I think it was in the 80s. And a conservationist, a guy by the name of John Varty, he raised a lion cub that he had found that was abandoned. He found a lion cub and raised it on Londolozi for a short period of time, and then when it got to a certain age, there was a threat of other lions in the area, so they thought they would take it and try and release it elsewhere. And they did release it. I think he did a good job of trying to raise it as wild as he possibly could, and he released it, but inevitably it was killed by other lions. Now that's the thing, once a lion or an animal has been raised in captivity, if it's returned to the wild, the chances of it surviving are very, very slim, because other animals will excuse me, sorry, other animals will potentially kill it. So I don't know of any successful, and when I say successful, a legitimate successful story of an animal being raised in captivity and released into the wild. You could possibly do it with birds and that perhaps, but I don't think some of these big mammals, and especially the predators, I don't think they would survive, because they're just not made to be bred in or raised in captivity, and once they are, I think the understanding of nature and wildlife and that learning experience from a young age isn't there. They are very vulnerable when they are released. You kind of hear of stories, and there was one story, I think it was Tristan the lion, many years ago. I think two guys in the UK bought a lion in Harrods, believe it or not, in the 60s or 70s. And they released this lion later in, well, they say the wild. I don't think it was, to be honest, because, and again, there are probably many different sides of the story, but I don't think it would have survived in the wild if it was released. And they came back years later and it apparently recognized them. I must be honest, I'm always skeptical of stories like that. Are they legitimately released into a completely wild environment, or are they large enclosures where they are being held separately from other animals, other lions or leopards or whatever the case may be? I think that sometimes happens. And yes, of course they'd survive. There's nothing there to harm them. Also with the big lion recognizing them, I don't know, and everybody said watch the video and you'll see. Yeah, I'm still... And the reason why I bring it up is because, you know, I don't believe in a lot of these places where they have you have the opportunity to pet animals, and you have opportunity to get up close and touch a wild, not a wild, but a hand-reared leopard or a lion, because often those animals are hunted once they get to a certain age. We know that for a fact. So I'm very skeptical about them, and also most incidences with animals attacking people happen at those places, because these are still wild animals and they will still react. If they get a fright or if they feel threatened, they will still react. So it's just something I'm very skeptical of, and I'm very careful of it, and some people might not agree with me, and that's okay, but that's just my opinion. Sorry, it was Christian the lion, not Tristan. Tristan's coming back from leave tomorrow. Yeah, I'm sure maybe Tristan will give me a hug. Yeah, he doesn't seem so aggressive. It's like a big teddy bear, really. I think we should tell him that tomorrow, see how he feels. Tristan the teddy bear. Alright, well, you know what? I'm still going to be patient and sit with this leopard. It has got cooler. So let's hang around a little bit longer. And let's head back to Jamie and find out how her afternoon is going. We are indeed, Brent, but good luck. You never know. You know better than anyone. Like monkey's alarm calling, usually a good sign that there's possibly another predator around. So maybe you get lucky. Tingana, unfortunately, has not moved yet. Still very comfortable, and also because it's cooling down now, I think he's really happy. He's still conserving his energy, and he's probably going to move a little bit later. I'm not sure. It's always difficult to say when they are going to get up and move, but we are sitting patiently and waiting, and we'll find out what happens. You can see his breathing has slowed. Now earlier, remember when it was much warmer, he was panting heavily, but look how much slower his breathing is. So it's a good sign that it has cooled down. The sun has gone behind some clouds. There was a cool breeze earlier, but it's still a bit muggy. I suppose that's the best way to describe it. But not nearly as hot as it was with the sun beating down on us. Fortunately, it's gone behind some clouds. It doesn't look like there's many flies bothering him as much anymore. His head hasn't lifted for quite some time, so he is resting very nicely there at the moment. It's very peaceful here at the moment, sitting next to this little dam. Just off to the left. You can see just off to our left here, there's not many birds calling. There's one or two doves around us. For the moment, I'm sure that some of the other birds will start calling fairly soon. But there's a wonderful reflection on the water at the moment, just off to our left. Look at that. There we go. Look at that beautiful reflection. The clouds and clear skies there. A few clouds, but looks a bit cloudy in the other direction. But this is nice. Very, very peaceful afternoon. I always say, sitting with these predators, it can be very, very calming. They resting, and you've got the sounds of the bush, the birds around us. So there's another vehicle there with other guests that are also trying to see the leopard. So yeah, we're still sitting very happily enjoying this leopard sighting. Hope all of you are too. But you can see, I mean, he's very well camouflaged, and I spoke about it, was it yesterday on Bushwalk? How the grass has started to change colour somewhat. A few yellows and browns creeping in, so these leopards are starting to blend in even better. But before, the grass was just so long we couldn't see them, but now their camouflage is ideal and it helps them a lot more. Paula, yes, I would say that a leopard is more cunning in terms of hunting because they are solitary. So they've got to work out exactly where their prey are potentially moving. They've got to stalk. They've got to get very, very close. I mean, obviously lions have got their own way of hunting. You know, they work as a pride. They work together, and they'll try and ambush prey differently compared to leopard. But then Then also the thing is with leopard solitary, but the other animals like wild dog, they're persistence hunters, so they will act in a different manner compared to lion and leopard, obviously, who are ambush predators. Cheetah again is different. Alright, so I think the leopard are more cunning. Now, speaking about cunning, Brent is trying to be cunning in finding a predator. He's got No, you with me, Jamie. So we're still with Tingana. He hasn't moved. He's still lying in the grass. Well, he's moved slightly. But you can see how well camouflaged he is in that long grass at the moment. But he does appear to be getting a little bit more active. And as I said, it is much cooler now, so chances of him moving are hopefully quite good. And also, there we go. That's what we wanted to see with him yawning. Now, yawning is often a good sign that these predators may get up and get a bit active. They're trying to get oxygen into their body, so often with lion and leopard, yawning is a great sign. They might decide to get up and move. It doesn't mean that they're going to get up and walk for ages. They could possibly just get up and move and change position and lie down again. But usually yawning is a good sign. So let's see if he does yawn again for us. Get to see those huge teeth of his too. At the moment he's just flicking his ears. Also see if I'm right about this yawning theory. If they do tend to get up and move, 95% of the time they do. But they could also let you down at times. Pangolin Warrior, you asked why are some cats solitary and others aren't? Well, the main reason would be it is the way they've evolved. They fill a different niche in nature. So they all fill a different role within nature. The solitary cats probably hunt smaller wildlife, whereas the cats like lions that are in large prides, they'll obviously hunt larger animals and larger wildlife. So it's just because they fill a different role. The hunting strategy is different. All of those differences will determine whether those animals are gregarious or in prides or groups, or if they're solitary. Same with wild dog. Wild dog hunting strategy, they need a pack. That's how it works for them, and that's why they're not solitary. A solitary wild dog probably wouldn't survive, or it's very rare to see a solitary wild dog. Cheetahs sometimes get coalitions of them together, but you might find a female by herself. She'll be able to hunt because different hunting strategy. Leopards prefer to be by themselves. Also, if they kill a small antelope like an impala, they don't have to share with anyone else. It's a perfect meal for them. Lions, the pride dynamics, it just works for them. So I would say that the main reason is because they fill a different role within nature. And that is why some cats are solitary and others aren't. Let's see, here's another yawn. Here we go. Another big yawn. Let's see if he decides to get up. No, not interested. Basically just looking at me and saying, oh, you got that wrong, Byron. Let's see, he's definitely more active. His head is up, he's looking around. So, hopefully he decides to get up and move. Wouldn't it be wonderful if he just decided to give a territorial roar for us? These leopards have that wonderful sawing roar that they give. Found him. It's all right. There he is, sitting in the long grass. But again, look at that camouflage. Look how easily he can disappear. tricky. I'll try to see if I can put some light through there. It might be a little bit better. I'm just going to move quickly. Okay, sure. Cheers. Alright. There's a lot going on now. I'm going to actually drive off and just get another glimpse of Tingana. These other vehicles have just moved past. The elephant, have a look off to our left. They're just moving by. Well, there has he moved. Hang on. Let's just try and get another look at him, see where he's going. It would be nice to be able to follow him for a bit. I don't think I'm going to get through there. Hold on, watch out. I'm on the branch. Can you see a leopard there, Senzo? Is he still there somewhere? He must have just moved off. Oh, you know what, everyone? I'm not going to be able to follow the huge stumps in front of me that side. There are a lot of stumps around here. And also, you know what, we had such a wonderful view of Tingana. I think to follow him unnecessarily now while he's walking through the bush, potentially trying to hunt, well, you know, we do have to be sensitive at times. And I'd prefer to be sensitive with some of the animals. To see if he comes out back onto the road the other way. But he's headed straight through this thick block at the moment. And like I said, we had such a lovely view of him. There's no need to constantly follow him and disturb him if he is potentially trying to hunt. And, you know, we don't really disturb them. They are used to the vehicles, but I think to follow him through that now would just be a bit too difficult. We'll definitely make too much noise, break a lot of branches. There's no need for that now, especially in the dark. That's often when you can damage vehicles and you never know what you are driving over. So